In the 1st century BCE, Buddhist texts such as the Pali Canon were meticulously preserved through oral tradition and later written down in palm leaf manuscripts. These scriptures contained the Buddha's teachings, known as the Dhamma, which outlined the path to enlightenment. Over time, many of these sacred texts were hidden or lost, particularly during periods of political upheaval and foreign invasions in ancient India. Why would such valuable teachings be suppressed or destroyed? Take a moment to reflect on that. One example is the destruction of Buddhist texts during the reign of Emperor Pushyamitra Shunga in the 2nd century BCE, when Buddhist monasteries were demolished and scriptures were lost or hidden to protect them from eradication. These ancient teachings contained profound insights into self-liberation, mindfulness, and the cessation of suffering, direct challenges to the established power structures of the time. By promoting self-realization and the rejection of attachment, the Buddha's teachings inherently threatened any system that thrived on control and domination. Buddha, like many enlightened figures, has often been depicted as a distant, almost godlike entity, to be revered but seemingly out of reach for ordinary people. This image creates a separation between the seeker and enlightenment, making the path appear inaccessible. This distortion of the Buddha's teachings is exactly what power structures throughout history, such as imperial China or colonial powers, have encouraged, maintaining control by presenting enlightenment as something only for the select few. This could be the reason why someone decided to hide these sacred teachings in a clay jar, avoiding their destruction. It's time to empower yourself and explore the inner tools that help expand your consciousness. One of the most fascinating aspects of the teachings attributed to Buddha is their contrast with traditional scriptures. While many urge you to seek outwardly and worship gods in heaven, the Gospel of Thomas and ancient Buddhist texts direct you inward, toward your own being. The mystery of Buddha is deeply rooted in every human being, regardless of individual beliefs. The idea of Buddha resonates within the deepest recesses of the human psyche. However, few truly understand the true meaning behind this enlightened state, and even fewer experience it. For most people, Buddha is perceived as a holy figure who transcended suffering, but this perception overlooks the deeper meaning. The early teachings suggest that Buddha was a man, a teacher who transcended his limitations and embodied the enlightened consciousness within himself. This consciousness, often referred to as Buddha nature, is not confined to one person. It represents the innermost being, the divine spark that resides within each of us. This force is connected to the highest and purest dimension of reality, the Absolute. It is this Buddha nature that connects us to that inner space, because the ego cannot experience the Absolute. Only the awakened Buddha nature can. The Buddha is the mediator, the bridge between the Absolute and the manifested universe. Buddha nature is beyond any personality or individuality. It only appears in this physical world when expressed through any human being who is prepared to receive it. But the process of awakening Buddha nature is not easy. Buddha himself represented an elaborate drama throughout his teachings and meditations. His journey symbolizes the final death one must undergo to transcend all ego. In ancient Egyptian religion, the belief in the afterlife was not merely about death, but about transformation. When a person passed through death, they didn't simply cease to exist, but rather transitioned into something greater. They became Osiris, the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and regeneration. This idea wasn't just a metaphor for the afterlife, but symbolized the divine potential inherent within every human being. To become Osiris was to return to the divine, to merge with the godhood that resided within. This transformation signified that death was not an end, but a rebirth into divine consciousness. Similarly, the Gnostics taught that each of us carries a spark of the divine, a hidden light that we are born with. This divine light is not something that comes from outside, but is part of our very essence, and the ultimate goal of the spiritual journey is to awaken and nurture this light. According to Gnostic thought, seeking this inner light is the duty of every seeker. It is through the recognition of this light and its cultivation that we attain liberation from the illusions of the material world. The Gnostics believed that ignorance of this light was the true source of suffering, and only through self-knowledge could one attain true freedom and unity with the divine. This idea finds a parallel in Buddhist teachings, where the concept of Buddha nature mirrors the Gnostic understanding of divine light. In Buddhist philosophy, the Buddha nature exists at the heart of every being, at the very core of existence itself. It is present in every atom of the universe, silently waiting to be realized. Buddha nature is the inherent potential for enlightenment that lies within each of us, a potentiality that is as vast as the universe itself. It is both the force of infinite love and boundless wisdom, and it is through this nature that we are connected to the divine. However, simply knowing of this Buddha nature is not enough. It is possible to embody that force of love and wisdom within us, but this requires effort, practice, and realization. It is a process that asks us to look within ourselves, to turn inward, and explore the deepest recesses of our own consciousness. Enlightenment is not something external that can be attained by following rituals or worshiping deities. Rather, it is the full realization of our inner nature, the unveiling of the divine potential that has always been present, but often obscured by layers of ignorance and misunderstanding. As Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." This profound statement suggests that our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality, and by transforming our inner world, we transform our outer world as well. The divine potential that resides within us is waiting to be realized, but it is our responsibility to cultivate the right mindset and understanding to bring it forth. In this sense, the mind becomes both the obstacle and the key to enlightenment. Our thoughts can either obscure the light within or allow it to shine brightly. The teachings in the Gospel of Thomas and ancient Buddhist texts serve as timeless reminders that the kingdom of heaven, or nirvana, is not some distant, far-off realm, but something that we can experience within ourselves here and now. The kingdom is not an external place we travel to after death, but an inner state of being that is available to us in every moment. Similarly, nirvana is not a mystical plane beyond reach, but the realization of our true nature, our Buddha nature. Buddha's teachings emphasize that enlightenment is not an external prize to be won, but the unveiling of our true self. This journey requires us to shed the layers of ignorance, illusion, and attachment that obscure our divine essence, much like a diamond that must be cut and polished to reveal its inherent brilliance. Enlightenment, therefore, is the process of removing the false self, the ego, and awakening to the truth of who we are. It is through this unveiling that we come to experience the oneness with the divine that has always been present. Many spiritual traditions, from Yogananda's teachings to those of Buddhist masters, echo this sentiment. The divine light shines equally on all, but not everyone is ready to receive or reflect it. Ignorance, attachment, and fear cloud our vision, much like how the sun shines on both coal and diamonds, yet only the diamond reflects it with brilliance. The coal and diamond both possess the same potential, but it is only through immense pressure and transformation that the diamond becomes what it is meant to be. This analogy reflects our own spiritual journey. We are born with the same divine light as the enlightened masters, but we must undergo a process of transformation to reflect it fully. The notion that enlightenment can be achieved simply by believing in an external figure, whether it be Buddha, Christ, or any other spiritual teacher, does not reflect the true nature of the spiritual path. Simply believing in Buddha or Christ as external figures might offer us comfort and pleasant emotions, but it will not lead to true liberation. What we need is not blind belief, but direct, experiential knowledge of enlightenment. We must strive to embody that enlightened state within ourselves. In many ways, Symbols such as the Christmas tree in Christianity or the Bodhi tree in Buddhism represent this journey. The tree symbolizes our internal ascent toward our true nature. In Christian mysticism, the Christmas tree points toward the Christian consciousness within, while in Buddhism, the Bodhi tree represents the place where Buddha attained enlightenment. These trees are metaphors for our own spiritual growth, our inner ascent through the layers of our being. The star at the top of the tree, or the enlightenment of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, represents the union of divine consciousness with the Absolute. It is the culmination of the journey, the moment when our inner light shines with full brilliance. At this moment, we are all like seeds that must undergo the process of germination to flourish in their fullness. This process requires patience, perseverance, and faith. Just as a seed must die to be reborn, we too must let go of our old selves, our egoic identities, in order to be reborn into the fullness of our true nature. We must pass through the darkness, the challenges and trials of life, to find the inner light that has always been within us. Only through this process can we truly come to know ourselves and our divine potential. May this ancient knowledge inspire us to explore the depths of our being, to seek the truth beyond the limitations imposed by society, culture, and even our own minds. May we embrace the light that shines within each of us, and recognize that within us lies the kingdom of heaven, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be lived. This is not just a spiritual ideal, but a living reality that we can experience in every moment if we choose to.